All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia. I'm the founder and CEO of Gar Capital. Glad to be with you this morning. It's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, December 9th, 2024. I was out this past week, and of course, the market soars. Of course, Bitcoin breaks 100K when I'm out. So I was telling some of the members on Discord, I go, if we chop this week, I'm leaving the country for sure. I'm gonna go on a nice like 3-month vacation because for some reason when I'm away from my desk, we tend to soar. Isn't that funny? But glad to see market soared this past week. Glad to see Bitcoin finally broke 100K. It took everything out of me not to be attached to the market. So imagine I've been out for a week and it feels like I've been in a coma, like I missed everything. So trying to catch up myself. But again, glad to be back. Thank you guys for the warm replies and everything like that. I do got some students this week. So the thing is, I'm gonna have to try to change my schedule up a little bit in terms of the morning notes and all this stuff, but I'll work accordingly, and especially during the week. But glad to be back. Got some great comments here. Good morning. Can we do a chart analysis of Adobe? Missed you last week. Yeah, I didn't do any morning notes this past week or any YouTubes because I was out. But again, thank you so much. It was just more of just some time off, and I guess the fact that when I did take time off, we start soaring, which is hilarious. Always happens. Either when I'm driving or I'm out in terms of vacation or something, the market just moves. We'll take a look at Adobe here. Let's go ahead and go around the horn rather quickly. The Dow is up 48 points. The Nasdaq's down about 0.18. The S&P's flat. Russell, I put that on the watch list in terms of the futures one. We're bouncing off the 20-day. So my thing here is I hope that we can retest this right around 23.99. And if we do, I definitely want to be a buyer there. But if we get an opportunity to take a look at IWM, I'm going to go ahead and put an alert at 242.06. And if we break that, then I definitely want to go long IWM. It is green this morning. Crude oil is up 1.5%, 68.24. Gasoline futures up $1.93. Gold is up 1%. Silver is up 3.5%. So the dollar is not down. So we're starting to see a little bit of a commodity push, and that's really because of the China stimulus headlines from last overnight. Higher stimulus than expected. I guess that was the call. $4.28. Remember, we talked about copper a lot. Does anyone remember FXI? Or is it, what was it? What is that? A copper company that we use, that we trade. Sorry, FCX, that's it. $4.28, again, up 2%. Above $4 is usually kind of the level I've been looking for some commodity push. Take a look at dollar yen, up 74 pips, 150.79. Bitcoin taking a breather. And I want to make a big point about Bitcoin before we start talking about anything else. 100K, we broke above it. We got as high as 105.325. Again, this is Bitcoin futures. 100K is a big level, guys. Things are starting to get a bit frothy. Frothy means a little too much too quick. Now, I do believe that we still have more of a Santa rally, at least at the end of the year, but at least until the inauguration day. And I really want to reiterate this point to everybody because I start getting questions about Bitcoin and stocks and all that stuff. And this is something that I've done for 10 years. And there's one thing I can tell you about the last 10 years, everything's a cycle. It's always different this time. Yeah, I know. But human behavior doesn't change. 100K is a big level. Now, we can hit 150, no problem. I mean, when you have that kind of demand, but ask yourself this question. If you need the money for any reason, you want to reward yourself, take out your initial investment in Bitcoin, let the profits ride. That's one way to do it if you want to. But 100K is not a bad level. Guys, that's the round number theory. We know, I remember when Bitcoin was 10K. I remember Bitcoin was 5K. And we had all of these kind of milestones, and people were like, I'm selling here or this and that. I still believe Bitcoin's going to go higher throughout the time, more years, because of supply and demand. Supply is going to be cut due to Bitcoin halving. Remember, Bitcoin has scarcity. It's unlike the dollar where we can just print it. So understand that. So Bitcoin is going to go higher over time. But we remember 2022, we remember 2018, and we remember 2020. Guys, markets fall sometimes. I know right now everyone's feeling the good vibes. Things are changing, yes, but eventually things get frothy, things pull back. Just get ready. Just get ready is all. All we need is one bad report. All we need is the Fed to slip up and not cut. And then what happens? We start retesting some levels. 78,059 is a gap to fill on Bitcoin futures. That's about a 20% haircut from where it is. That is not even unnatural for a crypto. That happens all the time. So, with that being said, in order to go long on crypto again, in terms of the ITO or whatever you want to do, let's get above 102 or so, and then we can target 105. But I want to be extremely careful moving forward. 100K is a extremely important level for a lot of people that have been tracking it. Just be wary. Keep on your toes. You start getting pullbacks. They are opportunities over time, but things can shift very, very quickly. We have a CPI number this week on Wednesday. If that comes in hotter than expected, things might get a little crazy. Put call ratios are very depressed, meaning everyone's bullish. This gives me memories of 2018. 2018 Christmas, we had, I believe, a Fed hike that 2018, and the markets absolutely tanked within a week. It bounced back over time, but I just want everyone to be careful. That's all. Let's do Adobe. Sorry, I really wanted to say that because things can get a little crazy, and I want you guys to at least be protected. You have a gap to fill at 558.87. I believe they report this week. The resistance is right at 600. Very tough because nothing has shown in terms of a breakout as of yet. So I would actually be rather neutral on Adobe here. Is this a temporary consolidation period in IWM or something bigger? Let's see. Okay, IWM, I have the alert above 242.06. We're trading at 240 now. We're just holding the 20-day. That's really it. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not going to just go up one shot, every single session. I do expect at least some bit of a cool down in terms of stocks too after last week. But you can see this downward wedge breaking out here. 242 to me confirms, and I could do the 245 calls on IWM. Hi Carlos, you sound refreshed. Well deserved time to recharge. Yeah, listen. Uh, I love trading. Being a business owner is the tough part, to be quite honest. But having some time off is definitely something I needed, and I really appreciate everyone's patience, and I really appreciate the team for taking care of everything and taking care of all of the members. I mean, we are a team for a reason. This is not called Carlos Inc. It's called the Gar Capital for a reason. Palantir up on headlines, guys. We've been talking Peloton now for a while. We traded it all last year as well. It was one of our top 10 stocks of 2024. The thing's been absolutely on fire. Congratulations to all who have owned it. The problem is now you're at all-time highs. How do you trade this? This is where it gets kind of lame. I hate to be that guy because we trade basically on volatility. And when there is no volatility, you're basically just waiting. You're waiting for some kind of pullback. Playing Palantir here, you'd have to wait for 82.70 to pop higher, which sucks. So you do have a gap to fill at 78 on the 1 hour. More than likely at the open, we'll probably get around that area. And then we'll see if we get a bounce there. But all-time high trading is not the easiest. The easiest way to trade, to be quite honest. Hope you enjoyed your vacation. Where do you expect Bitcoin to top out in the short term? Thought 100K would be the top, but it seems like there's room for a push higher. Yes, to me, 100K was my top. And I didn't even think we were going to get that this year. Well, granted, I step away and we soar. Fine. I'm pretty sure that if I took next week off, it'll probably go to 150. 150 to me would be the hard ceiling. That would be, another 50K above the 100K level. That's when you start getting extreme greed, in my opinion. Could we wick that? That sounds about right. But I think we're closer to a short-term top than we are just to a launching point at this point, at least short-term. The thing that I'm worried about Bitcoin is that we're front-running a lot of possible legislation, a lot of possibilities, which is what speculation is. But until the rubber meets the road on inauguration day and Congress is back in and we start getting actual legislation, right now it's still all talk. We need to see if we get some action to support this Bitcoin pricing moving higher. Let's just say, for example, we didn't have any crypto legislation in the books in the next 2 years, for example, or the SEC person who is being nominated doesn't get in, and even though he's a pro crypto person, a lot of things could change. And that's kind of the concern because these are the kind of things that we saw at 10K Bitcoin. This is what we saw at 20K Bitcoin. This is what we saw at 50K Bitcoin. I thought 50K Bitcoin at that time seemed to be like that hard ceiling. And I think we got to around 68 and we pulled back. So, I mean, that was about 18K above that 50K level. So be it. But again, you're not going to get just a wick either. So, what you're going to see more than likely, in my opinion, Bitcoin is one big wick higher on some kind of positive news. And that's where you start pulling back slightly and surely. Again, in the future side, 78,000 or so is that gap to fill. We are going to fill it. The question is when, right? Isn't that the $1 billion question? But guys, just like any other assets, Bitcoin is not immune to volatility. Bitcoin is not immune to pulling back, as we know. The question remains, do we want to buy here at 100K? If you're dollar cost averaging, go for it. That's fine. But it's just trading at all-time highs is tough. It's very, very difficult because where's your target? And you can go as high as imagination. Why 150,000? Why not a million? And then you're stuck on that way, and then you'll see what happens. Let's take a look at Disney. Disney 119.22 is my alert for a continuation higher. We just never got there. Good morning, Ethereum and Tesla. Tesla is near 400 now. We had the 400 calls last week. Again, we're just a week early, and it's just killer. Because we know the targets that we're looking for, it just slow rolls, and we didn't get there. So once you break above 402.67 on Tesla, that's the all-time high, guys. That's really it. And then what? Is it going to break out is the question. Sure. It's going to get more expensive in terms of the volatility. That's kind of the only question I have is just, do we want to chase it here for momentum or do we wait for the pullback? And that's kind of the real question that I have every single day in terms of this market action. When I got back to my desk last night, I'm like, whoa. Now what? Ethereum is about to break out right above 41.42. 1, 2, 3, possible triple top. That should break. 4,500 is a possibility, absolutely. But again, guys, all-time highs. What do you do? How high can you go? What does the weekly profile look on ES and NQ? NQ, if we pull back below 21,548 or so, that would be a nice dip buy, but 21,314 is really your next hard support. In terms of ES, which has been looking better, 6,051, that'll be our next floor. Crypto will peak October 2025. Oh, there you go. That's not a bad date. October is usually pretty weak for crypto, historically speaking. Are we bullish or waiting for retracement? Here's the question now. Bullish for what? So now we have to look at that CPI number. I think we're probably going to chop around until Wednesday. We had a big move this past week. Take a look at Qs. Up. We pulled back on the 5th and then just a big spike up. And then the 6th, we had the pop on NFP and then we pulled back. So not much there, but a big move really for the past week. You could see we went from 513 to 525 on Qs. Today is supposed to be a bullish day in terms of the almanac. But other than that, it's going to be all on that inflation report. If that deviates too hot, it's going to be hard for the Fed to cut. And there's one thing the market doesn't like is missed expectations. Let's see Shopify. Shopify is a name I was watching as well. Yep, we still got a little more to go. If you break above 120, 140 would be your next target on Shop. Yep. I personally think that Tether will disrupt the market from failing to do audits. Money laundering will be the fall of Tether and Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, it's criminal money. That's what it's for. It's black market money. And that's kind of the benefit, I guess, because it's widely acceptable 24/7 liquidity. If you just want to move money around and kind of keep it quiet, I don't know all the details on how to keep it quiet or anything like that. I assume you just send it to somebody. You know, I don't know how the tax reporting is. I guess if you use Coinbase, I'm not a tax professional. But in terms of Bitcoin, really what you're looking for is it's black market money, easily transferable. Listen, dollars are used for black market illicit reasons too. Bitcoin is not alone. So if you are somebody who says, I don't want to use Bitcoin because people do bad things with it, then don't use dollars either because there are a lot of people do bad things with dollars. And then the other side is the scarcity side, meaning it's like gold, that you're not making more of it. Yes, you can mine for it, but there's no additional supply coming from the sky. It's more having periodically means the lower the supply, higher the demand equals higher prices. And that's it. That's how it works. Let's take a look at Instagram. Any questions? Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see. Glad to be back. Thoughts on Palantir? Yeah, I talked about that. All-time highs. What can you do? You're gonna have to break the recent highs and play the momentum. But listen, as someone who's loved Palantir forever, been saying it, Skynet, things get frothy. Things get very frothy. People get very greedy. I'm just waiting for Palantir to come back down to earth for right around like 55 or 45. Chasing it here? Nah. Unless it's a trade. Unless it's an option trade, which is fine. Welcome back. Any thoughts on SMCI? That is up this morning. I guess when they beat their audit, it's all good now. We're above this gap to fill that I put here. Let's see if 50 becomes the resistance or our ceiling, or it's just going to be our jumping off point. But 50 needs to break. So again, good thing. All we did was fill a gap. Great. We filled that gap from what date? The 29th of October. Very nice recovery. Get above 50.46 and we can start having the conversation about playing SMCI for a retracement to fill some gaps, which I'm all for. And there's SMCI. All right. What do we got? AI. Oh, comments on NG. Look at this great name, Carlos Garcia. Sounds familiar. Nat gas. You see this big yellow line here? 362. It's natural gas. That's the yellow line I've had forever now, and still hasn't been able to break it. And until we break there, I don't think I have the alert now. Until we get above there, there's not much to do, to be quite honest. At least on a swing. AI worth playing earnings. Earnings have been very tough. There was a couple of names I talked about in terms of earnings that did not hit, that did not move the way I expected it to. So again, that's kind of the day at the races. 44.90, 45 is AI. That's where the target is. That is a triangle breakout. Granted, with earnings, anything can flip, but that would be my target. I am pretty sure that's where we're going to be options traders. That's going to be their target. 44.90 gets you back to July 31st. It's a great chart. Tesla is at an all-time high, right near 400. We had the 400 calls last week. We were 1 week too early, guys. We're calling exactly where we expect to go. We're just run out of time, or we're just a little early, and it's so super annoying. SOXL. This is going to be your semiconductor ETF in terms of higher leverage. Right near support around 28.75. Nvidia is down this morning. Above 40. Again, you'll kind of get out of this consolidation period since June. So you got to get above 40, maybe 41.23. I think ISO coins are here to stay. Utility coins will thrive. RLUSD is being implemented. If the USA wants to go back to the gold standard once ISO 2022 is launched in the USA, I don't know about a gold standard, if that's going to be hit anytime soon. But that's more a political thing than it is an economic thing. So who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? A step at a time is what I always say, because anything could change. You know, legislation can change, politics change. Politics is like the wind. That thing just shifts different directions, man. I mean, we've only had one other president that won an election non-consecutive term, Grover Cleveland. We just had a pandemic 4 years ago. We're going into a new administration that was the same administration 4 years ago. So a lot of it is, what are we expecting back and forth? And that's kind of what the market is pricing. The market is pricing that we're going to have a very business-friendly approach to taxes, regulation, very Reaganomics, 1980 to 1988. That's kind of the expectation. The problem with expectation is that you keep raising that bar and you miss. That's kind of what I'm looking for, is that when inauguration day hits and then, you know, we may not get that tax cut immediately, the market starts getting spooked and gets upset and they start selling. That's kind of what I'm expecting. Who the hell knows is correct? Great analysis, obviously. Only the best. AMD, I have a support at 132.53. And if we get there, then it's definitely a short. But until then, just kind of holding on to this chop zone. And that's it. All right, guys. It's great to be back. Great to talk to you all. Enjoyed my week off. Again, we have the holidays coming up. This week and next week are the last 2 full weeks of the year. And then we have Christmas time and we have New Year. So a little wacky in terms of timing. So just, you know, In terms of end of the year, we'll do the best we can in terms of identifying market movements, but we might just get chop. And that's kind of the only concern part. And then that's where I'm going to be a little upset that I didn't take 2 weeks off because the second I leave, everyone gets rich. Perfect. Have a great rest of your morning. I will catch you guys tomorrow. Cheers all.